In this session of TS Academy, we will discuss understanding sports management. Let us understand what sports management means by bifurcating the term into sports, management, and then combination of both sports and management. Sports means a physical activity which involves players, teams who compete with each other either for an entertainment purpose or in order to win an award or a cup in a tournament. Then you have management. Management is an act or process of dealing with and controlling people and things in order to do something which is a bigger picture of achieving certain objectives which are laid down by the organization. Now, sports management. Sports management means ideation, which is conceptualizing, then planning out the activities, implementation of those activities, giving direction to the implementation of the activities, controlling it, and then evaluating it to see whether the series of planned activities which was sport was able to achieve the desired outcome. The desired outcome can be to popularize a certain sport, to generate fund, to popularize a particular player, to popularize a particular team, etc. Now, what is the scope of sports management? If we look at the sports industry, we have a single sport, which is like a professional league or a team. Then we have multi-sports like sports organization, high school sports, athletic foundation. Then you have a college sport at a college level. You have events where you have meetings, you have trade shows. Then you have media where you have specialized sports journalists covering in newspaper, sports magazine, television, sponsors. Then you have professional services like event planning, like financial services, like marketing services, like sports agents. Then you have facilities like arenas, stadiums, facility managements, etc. Then you have manufacturers and retailers who provide you with the equipment and products in order to carry out the sporting activity. Now, what is the role of a sports manager? Sports manager either works towards reviving the old sports, like Pro Kabaddi League is reviving the Kabaddi game in India, to entertain, like IPL, to popularize not so popular sport, like football, which is not very popular in India, but you have leagues which are there held regularly to popularize that sport. Then you have sports to promote players, to generate awareness or to collect fund for an NGO or for some social cause. What are the management functions? Management functions are planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. Tools of sports manager are human resources. This include people who are trained to achieve certain goals, okay, which are part of their duties. Like they are trained, they are given training to achieve the organization's objectives. Then you have financial resources. Here you chalk down the budget, the operational cost, you look for the sponsor so that you have money flowing in so that you can organize your sporting event. Then you have physical resources like clubs, equipments, arenas, stadium, equipments, everything. Then you have informational sources. This is a sports club manager knows how many people the club has, the age, the gender of the gender, the medical history, everything about a sports club, right? The manager knows. This is informational sources, which means getting information of the players and the people who are involved in that particular event. Then management functions, planning. When I say planning, a sports manager conceptualizes the entire event. He identifies the key players of the team, specifies their duty, identifies the activity that needs to be taken in order to achieve those goals. It helps in identifying goals and objectives of the activities undertaken by the manager and how to implement these in order to achieve the objectives. Now, planning can be divided into two categories: strategic planning and operational planning. When I say strategic planning, it is done by the top management. It is a long-term planning, which is say for 5 years, and you set up the mission of the organization and whole team work towards achieving it. For example, a pro kabaddi league has a strategic plan of reviving the sport in India, popularizing it, and in a state where it doesn't have a foothold. Then what is an operational planning? Operational planning is done by the mid-level managers. They set up a short-term goal and objectives, and team plans out to achieve those objectives. For example, holding a 2-day tournament in a college, right? This is operational planning. But holding a tournament in the college, okay, which turns out to be a tournament which is of repute in that particular region, that is a strategic planning. Now, organizing function. Unity of command and direction. It simply means a subordinate reports to their bosses and all the activities are synergized in order to achieve the set objectives. Then you have chain of command, which means there's a transparency, there's a hierarchy to be followed by the people who are working in the team. Span of control. How many people do a team leader has who report to him, so that he knows the people, their skills, and then next step is he can delegate responsibility to them. There's a division of labor, which means according to the skill, the team leader gives them job to be done so that the job is done at the optimum level. They are able to achieve what the job asks them to. Then coordination, which means working with the departments in the organization, which means say a planning department is working with the implementation department, is working with the promotion department. So there's a coordination between all the departments who have this specific jobs which are identified by the division of labor. Then there's a clarification of the responsibility and scope of authority. If a manager is responsible for promoting a sport, he has the authority to tell the subordinate to go and pitch about it to the newspaper so that they come and cover it. Then delegation, which simply means assigning responsibility and authority to the subordinates to accomplish the objectives. And there's a flexibility, which means you can bend the rules in the exceptional situation. Leading. Leading means taking charge and influencing the employees to achieve the objective. Now you have an autocratic leader who's always dominating. He thinks himself to be best and he thinks the subordinates will have no brains to do any work, and whatever they plan, it will not be done. Then you have democratic leaders who encourage the employees to participate given their input, and this style boosts the morale of the employee because he feels being part of the team, feels that he is part of the decision making process. Then you have laissez-faire leaders. They have a hands-on approach. They give all the authority to the subordinate to decide. They hire a person who is fit for the job and leave everything on his discretion to decide and do. Then you have participative leader who involve subordinate in the leadership and decision making, but they retain the final authority of taking the decision. Now you have controlling and types of controlling. What is controlling? It is a process of implementing and laying down of various mechanisms in order to accomplish objectives. Now you have preliminary control. This involves foreseeing the problems which can be there during the event, and then you plan out how to prevent it. This is like planning a risk management. Say if the light goes off in a stadium, you have a generator as a backup so that electricity is not the hindrance in the event taking place. Then you have a concurrent control. When the action is going on, okay, simultaneously a problem arises, you have a thing to control it. For example, if the player is hurt, you have a physician right there in the arena or the stadium to take care or give a first-hand medicine or a first aid to him. Then rework control comes into play when preliminary and concurrent control fail. Then you rework the entire thing to fix it up, right? Maybe a crowd making the foul comments in the arena. You control it by maybe stopping a play for a few minutes and then beginning it. Then there's a damage control, which comes into play to minimize the negative impact on the customer or the players or the audience who are involved in the game. Now, how the control process takes place. You establish the standards and method of measuring the performance. It simply means organization lays down certain rules for, say, incentives, for promotions, through which it can measure the performance of the employee. Next method is measuring the performance. You have a set standard, you have laid down, and now the top management measures the performance of the manager. Then you determine whether the performance matches the standard or not. If it matches the standard, you give them the incentives. If it doesn't match the standard, you motivate them to come up with new ideas and work better. Then you have a corrective action. Where the output is not achieved, then there's a problem area which you try to identify either by training your managers or by giving them a more experience or by making them understand where the failure is, counseling them so that next time they come up with a better performance. Control methods. Feed forward control is a preventive or pre-action control where you foresee an issue and you lay down the method to prevent or control them. Then you have concurrent controls, which are simultaneously when the event is going on, you identify the flaw and then you rectify it then and there. Then there's a feedback control. Once the event is over or once the game is over, you take a feedback so that such problems do not exist or do not come into play when you organize the event next time of similar nature. Thank you. Please share, subscribe and comment on the channel.